Started out on mute. What's going on, people? My name is Alam. Welcome to another Toronto Hoop Talk live stream. And today we have an interesting one. We have a media day live stream. This just so happened to be a day that I had off from work. So I said, you know what? Why not hang out on the internet with this little community and let's see how these interviews go. So I don't know if you guys have the run of show, but I will pull up a tweet that I saw earlier breaking things down. Where is it? But yeah, we're gonna have Masai at 9:30 allegedly, because timings and such always are a little bit off. We're gonna have Darko at 10, Scottie Barnes at 10:30, IQ at 11, RJ at 11:30, Jakob at 12, Kelly Olynyk at 12:15, Gradey at 12:45. So I'm gonna put this up on the screen. But that's what we can expect today. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Pretty interesting year from a narrative standpoint. So it'll be interesting to see how everybody addresses things. I think Masai is probably going to get a lot of questions about direction and the team. Darko probably about his coaching. Scottie Barnes probably about whether he can carry the team or not. IQ and RJ about steps forward. Pirtle, I don't know what they're going to ask him about. I think they're just going to ask him about, like, hey, are you sure you want to be a Raptor? Poor guy got traded from the Raptors before the championship, the Spurs before they got Wemby. And yeah, he's been a part of rebuilds for a good minute now. But yeah, we are waiting on Masai. Masai was supposed to start at 9:30. Shout out to my guy AJ Byatt. Big up to you. Hope you've been well, brother. Definitely been well. Hope you've been well as well. But yeah, we're gonna just hang out, react to these. I got the interviews playing from my phone. I got the live stream open on my phone. I got the AirPod in my ear. Yeah, we're gonna be listening to all the interviews, hanging out as a family, breaking down what's going on. Good to hear. Good to hear. I hope everybody's been having. Hope everyone's had a good summer. Haven't seen you guys since the Olympics. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been the Olympics was the last time I did some content on this channel. Team Canada was disappointing. I don't think I actually ever touched on things after they lost to France, but yeah, that was not a good time. That left me pretty sad for a good minute. We also don't get an opportunity to make things right until 2027 because the Olympics are in 2028 and what else is there? The Olympics are in 2028 and what was the tournament we had last year? Oh yeah, the FIBA is in 2027. So legit, we just have to sit and stew for time. We have to sit and stew and just be pissed until 2027 when they can finally make it right. So yeah, just that's a frustrating setup. I wish there was an international tournament next summer, the summer after. Also because it's really just about Zach Edey. If we weren't such a weak team at rebounding and being physical around the basket, I don't think France could execute the game plan that they did. That wouldn't have happened. So maybe they lose anyways, but it probably looks different. And that's the thing. Edey just so happened to be not ready this summer, but Edey would be ready next summer. Like it wouldn't take that long. So yeah, Canada basketball was the last time I did content on this channel. That was not fun. We're gonna kick off the Raptors content with this stream. We're waiting on Masai right now. I have a couple streams planned between now and October 6th because I think October 6th is the first preseason game. So I want to do a salary cap stream talking about the cap and just like how that looks for the Raptors for the next 3-4 years and maybe what we can learn from that about how the team could look. So I'm doing a salary cap stream at some point this week. And then I actually want to do a WNBA expansion stream where I kind of present all the little research that I've done on how it works for the league to have an expansion team. So obviously there's the expansion draft, there's the protocols of like getting the top picks. But yeah, whoa, Masai's here. Hey, okay, we got action, people. We have action. We got Masai finally here. Okay. They want to ask him for an adjective. Okay, they really want him to frame this year. Rebuilding. Okay, he leaned right into it. And he said, we have a clear path going forward and we're rebuilding. Interesting. Yeah, that's a concession finally. You don't typically hear Masai talk about this. They wanted him to say winning. That setup was perfect for it to be like, hey, Masai, talk about winning. And he didn't do it. He mentioned, yeah, we're kind of starting fresh right now. So we didn't have direction last year. I think that's something that I find that we might not be in a great place, but we have direction. And Masai's kind of reiterating that right now. All right, what are they asking him now? Oh, a Larry T question. This is an Ed Rogers drama question. Okay, a question about how Larry T moving on impacts him. Okay. So whether this is the truth or not about business happening as happening as usual without Larry T, that's to be seen. Him, like, you can expect him to say this. You can expect him to say, nothing changes. Regardless of what the reality is, he's in no situation to actually tell the truth if this actually is something that has a negative impact. So this answer about nothing changing now that Larry Tannenbaum is gone is just status quo. This is what you can expect. Do not expect truth from a question like this. How are things going to change with Larry Tannenbaum being out? Okay, this is a bar. This is a great way. This is a great way to kind of dismiss the question by saying, "Hey, man, I had a tough negotiation with my son. It happens." Okay, first two questions, very typical to what people want to know from Masai. How are you going to talk about this year? How do you look at this year? And then a question about Larry T. Oh, he's pissed. Oh, he's pissed. He says, squash the beef. It's nothing. I'm going to be honest, though. The level of like conviction he's trying to convince us all that there's nothing between him and Ed Rogers, it makes me feel that I'm not saying that there's a big issue. I don't know if there is or not. It just feels like there's probably not nothing. The way he's addressing it, like, it's a very aggressive denial. Like, this definitely has the feeling of somebody is like, oh, issues? Nah, there's no issues. No problems with that person. Whole time. There's a lot of held up, pent up disdain. Okay, now we're talking about the new contract. And naturally, no real answer from Masai. But he did say his contract isn't up for a while. So that doesn't really sound like what they've been talking about. All right, finally, a question about basketball. What do you expect from Darko? All right, let's hear this one. All right. First point in the answer, we're talking about development. Still, the whole answer so far about expectations from Darko are clearly only about development. When they asked him to use an adjective to describe this year, it was about rebuilding. Pretty clear emphasis here. You talked about rebuilding around Scottie, age 23. Pretty clear emphasis here on what the goal is with the franchise. Well, he said Darko had an outstanding summer, and I'd love to ask, like, well, what is the outstanding summer for a coach? He went forward to talk about development. So I'm assuming that means he thinks he did good work with the players, but okay. Man, like Eric Kareen starts with Happy Media Day. Okay, question about IQ. Okay. Time for Masai to gas IQ. Oh, damn. IQ and Darko were working out in South Africa together? Interesting. So that's something I didn't know about. I didn't know that IQ and Darko were working together in South Africa. Well, lots of intangibles talk here. You can tell Masai likes a hardworking, like committed personality. All right, Samson's question. Basketball time. Okay, fair answer. So he said the players are right to not be thinking about rebuilding and to be thinking about winning. But regardless, he's gonna talk. He's gonna think. He's gonna look at the team and see a rebuilding project. I hear him. I hear Masai here. I think this was definitely the right answer. Damn. More ownership questions. I'm not a fan of these ownership questions because I just don't think you're going to get any answer of note. He's not going to sit there and tell you that the pivot to Ed Rogers is going to make things more difficult. He's only ever going to answer the questions one way, regardless of how you ask it or what you ask. So this is just like air. Like this is just dead air, these answers. Empty words. He's just going to talk. Yeah, talking about having a good relationship with people. Yeah, like let's just the questions about basketball are actually going to result in answers that you can learn things from and talk about and actually give some weight to. Any answers about the ownership situation, there's going to be nothing of substance that comes from that. They're keeping a winning counter in the chat. It's only at 2 though. He's not really hitting. He's not really going crazy with the winning talk. But yeah, these ownership questions. I think he's been talking for 2 minutes, but he's never gonna say anything other than there's no issues with ownership. Nothing's gonna change. Darko's supposed to start in 10 minutes. I wonder if they're gonna cut this short because this started late. Oh hell yeah! We're talking about Jacoby and Bruce Brown. See, this is at least gonna give us some information that we need. Oh, I'm so pissed Jacoby's hurt. Masai says there's no setbacks with Jacoby in his career, but to be honest, like there are. You're missing the part of the off, like you're missing training camp where the team is gonna settle into who they are, and then you're gonna have to be integrated afterwards. Think about the time it took Gradey, right? And how lucky we were to get meaningful minutes for Gradey at the end of the year. That whole process gets delayed for Jacoby with this injury. But he didn't give a timeline. Okay. So Bruce Brown's knee was cleared initially and then it flared up. That sucks. They're saying in the chat that Bruce was lying. Ooh, great question. How do you measure success in a rebuilding season? He says the growth and progress of all of our players. Let's go, fam. We might tank this year. They gave him a layup for him to say winning, and he didn't. So Masai loves to talk about winning. Man, talk about progress and growth. We are not worrying about wins this year. If somebody gets hurt, we might lean into a tank. We're gonna compete every night, and we'll see where progress will be. This is not the way Masai normally talks about things. We have a very different approach right now. For what it's worth, I think it's the right approach, though. Okay, question about defense. I love it. See, we're getting to the real stuff now. All right. Growth you want to see on the defensive side of the court. Let's hear it, Masai. Okay, you just said Darko has made defense a point of emphasis, and they're not proud of what happened last year. So that's expected. Hey, he mentioned Shed and Mogbo as players that could help out with the defense. Interesting to be relying on rookies. Didn't mention Davion Mitchell there. I think that could have been an easy layup to gas up the guy you got in a trade. Question about VP Ops. Shout out to Teresa, leaving to be the president of the WNBA franchise. And we will talk about the WNBA team soon at some point this week. I wonder what the vice president of player ops does, like what their role actually is. But yeah, we will be talking about the WNBA expansion franchise at some point on the channel this week, breaking down kind of the expansion process and how a team gets players from scratch. Hey, we'll lose question. Okay. They said the main change in Scottie's leadership, or like the main change in Scottie with respect to leadership is seriousness, which says that he was kind of deeply unserious beforehand. Dedication and seriousness, the 2 points highlighted about Scottie. Okay, a Ulrich Chamche question. Let's go. Damn it, Masai. He said he remembers the first time he watched Ulrich play. He needed to say an age to do the LeBron thing of like, hey, I remember seeing Scottie Barnes when he was like 8. I remember seeing so and so when he was like 9. But yeah, first thing brought up about Chamche is defensive instinct. We saw that in Summer League. We did the watch alongs here on this channel. Okay, 2 more questions and then this ends. Hey, a CBA question. This might help for the salary cap stream later. We're still studying it. The aprons are tough. So yeah, we will not be in the luxury tax anytime soon. Not that we didn't know that, but aprons was the first thing he talked about. Okay, last question of the Masai Ujiri press conference. Ideal vision of IQ and Scottie. All right, Grange gets one last question. Hell of a question, Grange. This is a question about tanking. Whoa. Kind of acknowledging the possibility of tanking. Whoa. I did not expect that. I did not expect that. So we have a bit of a break now between interviews. People. All right, so takeaways from that. The big one is obviously the tone setting for the season. So First question is about if you had to use an adjective to describe the season, what would you use? Easy opportunity there to talk about um, maybe trying to make the playoffs, whatever. You could angle that question towards talking about competing, and he didn't. He talked about rebuilding. They asked him about Darko and how he fared this summer. He talked about having an amazing summer, and what did he mention? Development. There's a couple other questions. Then that last one was a huge. I love that question got answered. And if you missed what happened there, Grange wasn't supposed to get a question. Masai last second was kind of like, no, let him ask his question. And Michael Grange asked the best question. The question was, when teams focus on rebuilding, sometimes they consider draft position as an important part of the year and getting a good draft pick. And to be honest, Masai completely leaned into that. He said he brought up the market that we're in, the importance of the draft as a resource. And to be honest, that answer to me, I think that really has me thinking that if certain things break the wrong way in terms of injuries, if the record gets to a certain point, we're completely going to lean into getting a good draft pick. Well, I think that's the sensible thing to do with where we are as a franchise, talent wise. And while that's what I wanted to do, one of my hangups about where we're at as an organization is I felt like Masai was running away from that. Um, I think organizationally, we've been running away from a rebuild for a long time. I would say for about 3 years now, we've been running away from actually putting ourselves in the right position to get good young talent. Basketball is a pretty simple game from the standpoint of you need elite talent, and then you need to build a team around them. And then the way the NBA works, getting elite talent when you're not a premier destination is very difficult. And look, the Raptors kind of jumped through a hoop to get Kawhi Leonard, but that was such a unique circumstance. You can't really plan to do something like that again. So the draft is a really big resource and a really important resource for a team like the Raptors. So to see him acknowledge that, I'm happy to hear that. It might make for a bit of a rough year um, for some people, but all in all, I think it's the right thing. I definitely think it's the right thing. It's surprising to hear that from him because this is not the way he's talked in his history ever. And his actions are actually much more significant than his words. His actions have reflected, hey, I'm running away from a rebuild for a long time. Yeah, I think he thought he might have been above it. I think he thought we can draft well and get young talent from later picks in the draft, and it just didn't work out. So I'm glad to hear that he's open minded about maybe again using the draft as a resource, um, because I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary. So we got Darko coming up at 10. He's next. Obviously, we're a little bit behind schedule. And Scottie, IQ, RJ, Pirtle, and Kelly Olynyk. So it'll be interesting to see what they ask Darko. There's a bunch of questions Masai got that Darko couldn't possibly get. Obviously, they're not going to ask him about ownership, but okay, we got Darko here. Okay, talking about international stuff. First with Darko. Okay, said he worked quite a bit with the players. Focus on areas we want to improve. What are those areas, though? All right, didn't talk about what the areas might be. That's typical coach speak. Hey, we're asking the coach about rebuilding. Let's go. Big up, Joel. Okay. Darko's talking about rebuilding too. All right, people. Yeah, get ready for a 28 win season. He said we got to understand the big picture. Don't kill me. Oh, brother, listen to the way they're talking. Listen to the way they're talking. They, I've never heard this type of stuff from these people. Yes, no, here's the thing. It's all yes, it's all 100%. There's nothing else to say. But notice how I don't know if you're watching live. Notice how Grange got that last question that really was the layup to let Masai talk about rebuilding, and they saved it for last. He technically wasn't in the queue. They were gonna finish it before Grange got to ask the question, and Masai was like, "No, no, 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 Grange, ask your question." And it says like that felt so scripted. That was the layup. Grange got the plug. They sent him the email. They said, "Look, we need you to ask this question because Masai has to get his rebuilding shit off." And that's what happened. Oh, we got a basketball question. Let's go. Okay, we got a basketball question. What the hell? Yo. The question was about the defense and his identity. And he's like, yo, this year we got a clean slate. We start fresh. So we start on the ball. More ball pressure. All right. Nick Nurse season. What? Yo, shout out the Mig. Bro, Kenya, you're the Mig in the chat right now. You're the most important guy in the chat. I'm taking that. We're taking that as a channel. The heck is a Mig? I've never heard anybody say that. He's talking about this like this is normal basketball conjecture. But he said the most important guy is the guy guarding the ball. But who's that going to be this year? If we're going to have Scottie guarding best players defensively, that guy's going to burn out quickly. I think chains still. We need someone to ask this. Wait. They talked about team bonding, Kenyon. Team bonding and 5-on-5 scrimmages. Okay, they're asking Darko about how he's developed since last year. Okay. Okay, how to manage time. How to manage a lot of people. Dog, that's coaching 101. Damn. Coaching staff, medical players. This guy said, man, my first year as a coach taught me, man, gotta get better at coaching. Gotta make sure you talk to every person to make sure they're doing well. Boy, boy, boy. Oh, he says I had to create processes for how we prepare for games. Bro said I have to be a coach. And he said he's gonna delegate more. He says I'm gonna give my coaching staff more stuff to do. Oh, I hate this question. I hate this question so much. Does stuff like the 30th year anniversary and retiring jerseys help with the vibes, basically? Yo, what? This man said, man, I take every opportunity to teach my team about their history. But yeah, man, shout out to AJ. Appreciate you. Shout out to Nico. Get Bruce off my team respectfully. Respectfully or not, just get him off the team. My guy said I'm getting the surgery before the year. I'm recovering on business time. Remember Scottie Pippen in the Jordan documentary? How he said, I'm getting my surgery on company time. I'm not messing my summer up to get surgery. Bruce Brown did the same thing. Only difference between Bruce Brown and Scottie Pippen is one's a lot better than the other. This is tough though, because the goal would have been to get him out of there earlier. If he lasts till the summer, that's tough. Oh, hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah, we're growing it out. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Yeah, it's a lot different. I gotta take a new picture for the thumbnail. For sure, for sure. See, so they're asking him how different it'll be with a team that has less turnover. But if they're rebuilding the way they talk about it, there's still going to be random roster chaos. Like, there's still maybe a couple of trades to make. There's some in-season signings that are going to happen. Yo, he said it's, oh, we're getting a house analogy. Oh shit, this is the best rebuilding anecdote I've ever seen. First you find a plot of land and then you dig a hole. Oh, I'm going to be referencing this a lot this year. I can tell already. Oh, he said that last year was finding the land and then digging the hole. And then this year is building the foundation. This is true. So we'll talk about building house. It's going to be one of those housing projects that the builder goes broke. Yeah, it's going to be those housing projects where like it needs to be renovated a whole lot very soon. Darkonomics giving you peace of mind. This guy's a hilarious guy. How do you assess your strategies and see what's working and not? Okay, I like this question. Wait, so Kelly's the MIG? If you know, you know. All right, we got the Grange question. Let me see if this is from the emails or this is from the draft that he got this morning. What are your expectations for the rookies? Hell yeah. Yeah, that sounds like it came from the drafts. Oh, what we got to understand is it's not one game. We got to think about the bigger picture. There's going to be times where they might be starting. They might go to the 905. Yeah, we're leaning all the way into this rebuild. Yeah, Grange is asking all the company questions. He got the briefing. Grange got the briefing, and he's been following instructions ever since. Oh, Samson. Samson said, I want to know more about this MIG thing. Yo, I hope we can go back and find that stream where I had the come to Jesus moment with you, and I forget who the other guy was in the chat. I think his name was Leo. That was a hell of a 45 minutes where it just sank in live in front of the people. God damn. we might not be good. So I'll get back to this answer about the defense. We got an RJ question about his efficiency here. Still won't forget thinking we saw it after the first game against Minnesota. We beat a good team too. Yeah, it felt good. Everything felt good. And then things went to shit pretty quickly. But I'm glad that I won't fall into that trap this year at all because of this guy. Okay, I don't think he's going anywhere with this RJ answer. So my just thing about the defensive answer he gave was that we went far away from the way we played with Nick Nurse in terms of ball pressure, and I think we swung way too far to the other end of the spectrum. My question is that how far are we going to swing back? Are we settling into a middle ground, which I think is probably what I would want to go with, or are they swinging all the way to the other side? Again, like, are we about to be like detrimentally pressuring the ball? Because there were times with Nick Nurse where it was we were just out there losing games on purpose, it felt like. I appreciate it. No, so when somebody cooks us for like 45 for the first time and they get all their buckets on one guy, the MIG jokes are going crazy. Okay, so no statistical goals for the defense. Okay. He said it doesn't happen overnight. We got to build our habits. So, yeah, this defense is going to be a project this year. He was at Washington, right? Before the Raptors. I think that's what you brought up once. That's jarring. Getting your defensive guy from Washington. Matt Bonner asking a question, called himself a public transit enthusiast. That's hilarious. All right. So that is done. They said Scottie's on his way. So we're gonna pivot to Scottie real quick. But takeaways from Darko's whoa, nasty combination there. Takeaway from this one is sorry, 1 second. Takeaway from that press conference is more leaning in, even more leaning into the rebuilding stuff. Not a lot of commitment. Oh shit. What are the betting odds on a baby mom's question? Holy shit. Oh, okay. I don't think anyone's gonna do it. I think somebody might ask about family. Like, I think a personal question about Scottie might be about like, oh, you're expecting a child. How is that gonna change you? They're gonna ask about family and children. I don't think someone's gonna outright just ask about a baby moms, bro. That's crazy. But yeah, nah, Darko's just not trying to get into his basketball bag too much. He's more or less just talking about a lot of intangibles, a lot of goals, work hard, be committed, build habits. A lot of what he said fell in line with the rebuilding stuff Masai was talking about. So again, just like one band, one sound when it comes to the organization talking about how they view the year. Again, it's a good tone setter for the fans to understand how your team is even thinking about the year. So if you think that we're going to compete, like just know that the team doesn't think they're going to compete, which it's happened before where the team is wrong about that and the players just prove them wrong. But yeah, I don't know. If you think that's going to happen, fair enough. I personally don't. But like I said, just helpful to know where they're at with it. Aaron Rose blood pressure up. Um, at least I think with Darko, they got us a little bit back on schedule. We'll probably be able to start Scottie Barnes at 10:30 ish, and then for what it's worth, we can stick to the script after that. I do think it's hilarious if you look at it. Everybody gets 30 minutes except Jakob Pertl. Like Kelly Olynyk gets 30 minutes, but Jakob Pertl gets 15 minutes. Now I don't know if Jakob Pertl has like a dentist appointment or something, or if they just don't respect him like that. If I was Jakob Pertl, I would request a trade right now. Like, yo, why do I get 15 minutes in the press conference and everybody else gets 30? What does Kelly Olynyk have to say? Now, actually, I lied. He's Canadian. They're probably going to ask him about the 30th anniversary. Yo, Jakob only gets 15 minutes because he's going to get traded at 12:15, bro. Okay, Scottie's here. Full uniform. Let's go. Hell yeah. Improvements from last summer. All right, communication and leadership. You know what's wild though? That soundbite's gonna sound crazy given the allegations. How do you balance development and winning? How's he gonna answer this? Because there's actually no answer. So how is Scottie Barnes of all people gonna answer this? Even he low key said rebuild. He just said we're gonna focus on getting better. That's a detailed basketball question. Okay, pretty much a non-answer. Definitely a non-answer. Starts with being like, yeah, that's what we want to do, and then being like, depends on the schemes. We got the Grange question, the company man. The numbers in this chat skyrocketed. We're asking the guy go about goals, and he's answering about winning, and everything before he was talking about was rebuilding. They're putting him in a really tough spot. I think all the questions about leadership are kind of empty. I think all the questions about winning versus development are kind of empty. I think the question about actually like the basketball question about the defense, that could have got a real answer. But when he talks about leadership, all he's going to talk about is, embracing trying to be a better leader and the growth in that standpoint. So again, you're going to get what you get, whether that's actually the reality or whether that's actually like what happened, if that's actually going to work, all completely to be determined. But he's only ever going to say the same things. And in terms of like winning versus rebuilding, as a player, he can only say so much. He can only basically the messaging can only ever be, yeah, we're gonna try our best to win and we're gonna try our best to get better. Nothing else you could possibly say. Shout out Garrett Temple. These questions are tough. They're not going to result in anything with substance. The questions are leaning too hard to the subjects that he can only ever say one thing about. Asking him if things seem settled. Okay, this is actually a question. Oh shit, we're gonna be way ahead of schedule. Okay, another question about the community. Damn. They're calling him in the chat Hair Canada. Damn, I misspelled Scottie. That's tough. Well, that's over quickly, and we're back on schedule. Scottie Barnes' press conference. Okay, so I think he's in a really tough spot when it comes to any questions that are about winning versus rebuilding, because you can only ever say one thing as a player. You can say, we're going to focus on getting better and we're going to focus on winning games. So only thing you can ever say. So whenever they ask him a question about that topic, you're going to get the same thing. When it comes to leadership, again, what? Okay, dope. We have a break till 11. But yeah, the when it comes to the questions about leadership, like, only thing he can possibly say is, again, like, man, that's something I'm focusing on. That's something I'm thinking about. Something I'm going to put more effort into doing. Like, um, I just thought that the questions were putting Scottie in a position where there's only one thing he could possibly say. So I don't know. A lot of those questions, I didn't hear anything that I didn't already expect. So I don't know. I like the question that they asked him about basketball. The question about the defense, and about whether, if the team wants to do more ball pressure, if him being like a backline sweeper helps us execute that. I think that's good. You can actually get something from those answers. But yeah, Scottie said what he was supposed to say. You can't blame him for doing that. And yeah, I don't know. It seemed like with that press conference, he was a little bit. You could tell they asked him about a change that he wanted to make. No, I lied. They asked somebody else. They asked Masai about a change in Scottie, and he talked about seriousness. And then you see this press conference, and you can see it. That's a way more serious guy than the Scottie Barnes that walked into this organization. Like, you could tell he was kind of putting a lid on his personality. I think year one Scottie definitely just approaches that whole situation differently. So I don't know. Like, that's the main takeaway I think you could say is that he looks pretty different as a person. But yeah, man. When it comes to all those questions, he's just saying what you're supposed to say, what anybody would say. That's what it is, people. So shout out to everybody in here. We have about 16 minutes until Emmanuel quickly is here. I'm gonna take a bit of a break. Wait, they're saying something. Okay, he's 5 minutes early. So we have 10 minutes until IQ starts. So I'm gonna take a bit of a break. This is gonna be a long stream because it's a day of interviews. So I'm gonna take a quick break and then we'll be back. You guys don't go anywhere. Like I said, IQ is here in 10 minutes. We're gonna take a bit of a break. You guys sit tight. And we're gonna get right back to the show in a minute. What the hell? It started even earlier than they said it would start. Hold up, I missed out. Okay, I can skip back in the stream a little bit, and then I'll catch up. I'm gonna play it at a faster speed, and I'm gonna catch up. The hell, this is tough. Okay, spending a lot of time with Darko in Africa, Spain, and Miami. Damn, did they go on vacation together? I did not know it was like that. I did not know it was like that, bro. IQ and Darko were training together in Miami, Spain, and South Africa. Darko has a book club recommending books to IQ. Okay, balancing competitiveness and winning. Again, they can only answer these questions one way. We said we may not be talented as other teams. No excuse not to play hard. That's the admission. Okay. That question about Scottie and him as a duo, that's something I'm looking forward to. The question about him traveling, give or take. This is true. This is true. Oh man, poor guy. Okay, kind of a non-answer on the him and Scotty part of things. Okay, the contract changes him or doesn't change him. We'll see more questions where just there's only one answer to give. Okay, we're asking him, does he like the first day of school? Okay, what did he learn that informed his off-season work? I like this question. Okay, chemistry with Jakob, pick and roll, seeing where guys like their passes. Emphasis there on playmaking, so maybe that kind of gives some insight on what he was thinking about. Okay, finally caught up to live on this question or on this press conference. Okay. Man said I want the real answer. Okay, most impactful leader for him as a younger player. We'll see who this is. On that Knicks team? I don't know. He's struggling to answer it too. Starts by saying, I had a lot of great leaders. Derrick Rose. Okay, fair enough. Damn, so many great teammates, he can barely name anybody aside from Derrick Rose. All right, question about team defense. Let's go. What would his role be in the improved defense? It's the one of the biggest things we've hit on this summer. That's good to hear. At least there's the emphasis is there. He did highlight the pick and rolls. Question about point of attack defense. How did you focus on it? Brought up being in shape. Damn, it's a specific question. Jakob scoring his points on pocket passes. Damn, IQ's talking about helping the younger guys. This guy's young himself. I mean, it sounds like he's identifying Jakob as a pretty big leader on the team and somebody that he can learn from. So, I mean, for somebody as respected as Jakob, he deserves more than 15 minutes on the schedule. Has his mindset changed after traveling in the off season? Who cares, dog? Who cares? He said his mindset doesn't change. Thank you. Get through this question quick and let's get to the next one. Okay, last question for quickly. Find me another basketball question. So he says he wants to be better at the rim. So he's talked about defense in the basket. Those are the two things that definitely were relevant to him improving. So at least he understands the things. Okay, when is the next interview? Because we're really ahead of schedule now. The next one's supposed to be at 11:30. And appreciate you, AJ Biden, in the chat. 38:26. Okay, so takeaways from Emmanuel Quickly's press conference. To be honest, like he seems like the person that's best positioned to be like a vocal leader. I think Scottie seems like more of a lead by example kind of a guy. Quickly actually seems like somebody who could be the vocal leader. I think he speaks really well. I think his messaging was good. Seems like he has an understanding of the things that the gaps in his game. They talked about point of attack defense. They asked him what he could do to get better at that, and he talked about being in better shape. So that's interesting because maybe he felt like he was tiring out last year. But yeah, he talked about being in better shape to play better point of attack defense. He talked about playing through contact at the basket, wanting to do a better job of collapsing defenses. Had all the right things to say about what his game needed. So yeah, that was just like it was just a good, solid, mature press conference. Like I said, I think Scottie's better positioned to be the leader by example. But yeah, IQ in terms of being the vocal leader, you listen to a guy like Garrett Temple, and you can look at you listen to IQ here, and you can be like, yeah, this guy could age into being a Garrett Temple kind of a leader and somebody who has that kind of presence amongst the locker room. So that was a good press conference to hear. I didn't know that him and Darko were going on a world tour together. They said that they worked out together in Miami, Spain, and South Africa, and obviously in Toronto. So that's 4 different countries. These guys were jet setting together. The passport bros, IQ and Darko. Whoa! Rest in peace to Kembe Mutombo. What the hell? When did this happen? Damn. Rest in peace to Kembe. So Masai is gonna come back because of Dikembe. Uh, Rip. What the hell? Yo, that's a crazy surprise. Cause he wasn't even that old. It says he was 58. Rest in peace to Kembe, man. So they're gonna talk about Masai's gonna come back to talk about Dikembe. I'm assuming nothing Raptors related is gonna happen. So I'm actually, I think I'm just like I don't know. I think we'll just give Masai the floor for that one. So I'm actually gonna step away from the stream while that happens, and we'll come back when RJ Barrett's gonna talk. But that's tough. But yeah, I'm gonna take a break. You guys go do whatever you guys need to do, and I'll be back in probably like 10 minutes. Damn, rest in peace. Shout out to everybody in here still. Rest in peace to Kembe. Yeah, that was a crazy change of events. You know, sudden passing of somebody who I don't think anybody expected anything to happen with because he was only 58. Pillar of the basketball community, iconic celebration. Still in commercials because of the iconic celebration. Seemed to be somebody who a lot of people respected and looked up to. So sad passing. Fortunately for Masai, it seemed like that was helpful for him to get out because he's somebody who had a relationship. I know sometimes when you lose somebody like that, like having a moment to kind of share it with people can help you get past it a little bit, at least help you process it a little bit, makes you feel like you can share that with other people. So hopefully Masai holds up. Looks like it'll be a tough loss for him. And the basketball community as a whole. It's 11:27. RJ Barrett's supposed to be speaking in about 3 minutes. And then there's Jakob, Kelly Olynyk, and Gradey down the stretch. So I was debating whether I wanted to end this after RJ or not. I'm gonna persevere and push through, and we're gonna make it all the way to the end. I'm actually pretty interested to see what Gradey has to say about things. I already know with Kelly Olynyk, they're gonna ask him so much Raptors 30th anniversary stuff. So I'm definitely not too excited about that one. But Gradey, RJ, those ones I'm definitely pretty excited about. And yeah, I think with RJ, they're probably going to ask him about the similar stuff of rebuilding versus winning now. They're probably going to ask him about the younger players on the team. I don't know if they're going to ask him about leadership, though. They asked Scottie about leadership. They asked IQ about leadership. I don't know if they're going to ask RJ about leadership. But if they do, it'll be curious to see what he has to say, because I feel like he's kind of a quieter person. But at the same time, like I think his connection to the team would be different than a lot of other players. So maybe that would kind of position him to be like a leader in his own way. But we'll get our chance to see that when it happens. This last break was good for me, though. I got a chance to go make a coffee, figure myself out. The chat in the main stream for this from the Raptors is wild. They're asking sativa or indica. There's a whole lot of wild shit going on in here. And then typically, like as you know, happens, there's the beef between Canadian sports fans, the Jays fans, the Leafs fans, and the Raptors fans in here. Masai is the absolute best. Anybody who doesn't think so knows nothing about basketball and should rethink their biases. Some strong stances. Jays were about to get to Ohtani, we would have been so sad. Damn, they're cooking Leafs fans in this chat. You know what? We're going to find a way to use this time. Let's look Raptors preseason schedule. Okay, we got Sunday 7:30. Let me see what's going on in the NFL world that day. Because for those of you who aren't familiar, I also do NFL content. I have an NFL channel, In Motion Football. Oh, Cowboys Steelers. No, I have a conflict. Damn, what am I going to do? Okay, they play the next Sunday after that as well. Okay, yeah, Bengals Giants, I can start later. Okay, maybe I'll just do the first half of Wizards Raptors. The first half, when there's probably going to be starters / better players playing, we'll do that. And then we'll pivot to the NFL stuff. And then probably the same thing on the 13th as well. Then you got Friday the 11th. What is the 15th? The 15th is a Tuesday at 7. That might be tough. I don't know if I can make that one. And then the 18th is Friday at 7:30. That'll be fine as well. So we're going to get a lot of preseason watch-alongs for the Raptors. We're going to do the first half of Wizards Raptors, the first half of Celtics Raptors on the 15th. No, I lied, the 13th. We can do the whole game for the 11th and the 18th. The only one I'm unsure about is October 15th against the Celtics. And then let's look at just the schedule as a whole. Actually, I think if I go see more, there will be games. Okay. We're finally ready. Okay. We got RJ. Okay, asking him about Vince. Let's go. And RJ is predictably very pro Vince, as he should be. I mean, there's a documentary called Carter Effect, which is literally like about RJ Barrett. Not actually RJ Barrett, but about Canadian basketball players that came after a certain point in time, which coincides with Vince Carter spreading basketball in Canada and Toronto. Okay. What did you learn over the summer? Nothing too crazy. Oh, you watched the Carter Effect? That's fire. I didn't know that documentary would spread beyond Canadians. Yeah. So I didn't learn much. We just play hard, we'll have success. Love it. No, like a completely just non-answer. Okay, a question about the Olympics. Decent question here to see how if that helps him going into the season, or if he's going to be tired. Well, he brought it up himself, shorter rest time. Yeah, this is true, man. Vince Carter, um, if you talk about impact on a sport, spread basketball to so many people. The influence was crazy. And like even the influence on the city of Toronto. So Vince Carter brought bottle service to Toronto clubs. Toronto clubs did not have bottle service until Vince Carter said, "Hey, you guys should do this." And then they did. Like Toronto is viewed as like an Americanized city within Canada amongst Canadians. And figures like Vince Carter are the reason. Okay. Question about how it helps to be with the team in training camp as opposed to being traded mid-season. Good God, man, you're gonna get the same thing basketball players or athletes in general have been saying over the history of sports about this. Of course, it's tough to join the team in the middle of the year, man. Again, cookie cut answer as you could imagine. Okay, interesting point about his summer work taking a step back because of playing for Canada, because he's not working with the trainers that he used to work with as much. Asking about whether Vince's impact led to Canada as a basketball nation doing things in the Olympics and the FIBA. Well, the simple answer is yes. Oh, he brought up that Kevin Olynyk went to a Vince Carter camp at some point. So Kelly Olynyk's definitely going to get asked about that. Damn, the wars in this chat are crazy. They're slandering people from Orangeville and Oakville. Wait, they're asking him about his experience off the court with his teammates in the Olympics. I hope he was tampering with Shea. I hope he was recruiting him to Toronto. I know he's not going to say that, But bro, say it. Hanging out with the guys is one of the most fun things. Come on. Tell us that you were convincing guys to join the Raptors. He hasn't brought up tampering yet. Damn. Well, that's interesting. Talking about being in the Olympic Village around all the other Olympians, specifically basketball players, and like running into the guys that you're playing against. And it sounds like the NBA bubble. He's talking about like you're just eating dinner and then Jokic walks by. Oh, that must have been tough because I think Shea had some beef with some guys on Greece. Like you're gonna run into those guys. They're debating who's from the hood in the chat of this live stream. This is hilarious. A lot of Olympic basketball questions. We're gonna get a question in French. Is he gonna? Can he speak French? I didn't know. Damn, I'm hungry. New defensive system. So nobody's actually talked about it that clearly and that directly. There's been some mentions of we want more ball pressure, we want better point of attack defense. You got Darko talking about how the person guarding the ball is the most important player now, and that used to be the role rim protector. But nobody's ever articulated it like this, like it's a new defensive system. So that's going to be something to watch for sure, because even though I don't expect the results to be good, because I don't think the team is like that, but maybe if you see a system that works better, it's more encouraging for how you envision the team growing in the future. So that's something to watch for. What is the Raptors' new defensive system? Because they're the same coaches. It's the same guys. And then it's going to be a lot of the same players. And this was a question that I asked a lot last year, is that what is going to happen to make us better defensively? Because if we're looking at IQ as a foundational player, we're looking at RJ as a foundational player, we look at Gradey as a foundational player, we're never going to be that good from a personnel standpoint when it comes to defense. So a new system is definitely needed, but we'll see if there is a system that can viably make it all work. Okay, Darko stories. Okay. He's talking about a story about Gradey not getting a haircut. That's hilarious. Damn. Darko with like the Ted Lasso coaching vibe. Yo, they're beefing like crazy in this Raptors chat. I know you guys are here and I don't want you to leave necessarily, but the chat in this live stream is hilarious. Whoa, RJ speaks good French. What the hell? I can't speak French like this at all. I don't understand anything. Wait. Wait, he said he loves the Raptors a lot and it's important to him? That's all I can understand. The 30th anniversary. I think I don't know. I think he had those. He had that written out and he memorized it. It sounded like he. It didn't sound like he was just speaking. It sounded like he was reciting something. But I did not know he could speak French. But yeah. So RJ's interview is over. We got Jakob Pertl next, who has the shortest time slot. They gave this poor guy 15 minutes. Yo, they're doing a fire alarm test out here. This is the randomest day. Like they have these random breaks out of nowhere. They were behind schedule, then ahead of schedule, and then they obviously did a little memorial thing for Dikembe. And now they're doing a fire alarm test during a live stream. But in terms of that press conference, I liked hearing him. Obviously, he talked a lot about experiences with Team Canada, what it was like over the summer. I thought the point was interesting that he obviously, because of his time spent with Team Canada, he wasn't really working with trainers on his game as much as he would normally do. So that's something to think about in terms of his game. But then at the same time, playing basketball itself, there's upside to just playing and how you might grow as a player from that. Less rest, he mentioned. But if we're tanking shit, he might get a decent amount of rest mid-season. And then the part about the new defensive system, that's definitely something I'm going to be keeping an eye on, 100%. I wish somebody asked more details about it. It kind of sucks that RJ dropped that way of describing it at the end, because I would have liked to hear him say, or I would have liked maybe that happens earlier, and you can ask Masai or ask Darko like, hey, what are the core tenets of the new defensive system? And if that happened, um, I think we could maybe get some good answers. Again, there were some initial themes that came up, like more ball pressure slash better ball pressure, point of attack defending. Um, they actually highlighted Shed and Mogbo as guys that could help with the defense. So maybe we're relying on rookies pretty early. So yeah, from that RJ interview, again, I didn't know he could speak French like that. That was pretty good. I guess in Quebec they're gonna have him speaking quite a bit to the crowds, I'm sure. I think Pascal used to be the guy they could rely on to speak French, but he's not on the team anymore. So I guess they had Bismack Biombo back in the day. Now they have RJ Barrett to rely on for the French speaking in Montreal. What else came up in that interview? You got the funny Darko stories. Darko just really always comes across like a wholesome uncle. That's the kind of energy he gives off, wholesome uncle energy. But yeah, we got 3 more interviews left. I can zoom in even more. We got Jakob at 12, Kelly Olynyk at 12:15, Gradey at 12:45. They're saying Jakob is here. Oh hell yeah, Jakob's gonna start this earlier. Yeah, well, I didn't want to take another break. Bet. Okay, we got Jakob. Okay, they're asking him about actual defense. How do you see yourself fitting into a more aggressive scheme? Okay, he brought up disruption. They're asking him to specify what that is. I like that. That's really talk ball. We'd never want the person handling the ball to be comfortable. I like that. Oh my god. Ugh. Okay, now they're asking Pirtle about his chemistry with Quickly. They asked Quickly about the same thing. And every time I see Jakob Pirtle's face, I think about how Fred VanVleet said that his nickname on the team as a rookie was Big Ugly, and I just laugh. Standard answer about building chemistry with Quickly. Let's get back to the defensive questions. I want to give us some more details about this new defensive system. They're talking about higher pickup points, but a lot of the descriptions so far kind of fall within the same uh, category, like within the same theme. Okay, so he's talking about how everybody's aware of this situation and they had a massive change. More quotes falling into the theme of the team knows that it's in a rebuild. I think Quickly even said himself, like, man, like, we know we're not the most talented team, but that doesn't mean we can't play with a really high level of effort. We're going to go into every single game trying to win. When you have to say that. Oh, man, when you have to say that. Okay. Jakob actually talking about finding a balance between winning and development, which is interesting because most players go the other way and say, man, the only thing you can focus on is winning and playing well and getting better. People don't really talk about a balance. They talk about just like all in on playing well. They're asking him about how the rebuild aligns with Jakob Pertl and his career personally. So that's basically saying, Doug, you're like 29. You've played with a bunch of bad teams. I'm sure you want to play on a good team. How does playing on this team make you feel? Jakob says we have a good plan when it comes to the future. Don't kill me. Jakob's beard starts from the shoulders, man. Oh no. This chat is extremely unforgiving. How do you navigate the frustrations as a veteran player that inevitably come with being on a rebuilding team, getting to the tough hitting questions? And poor Jakob, man. He got hit with the most hard hitting questions out of everybody. Last question for Jakob. This chat is going crazy. The beef is so serious. They're arguing about whether Jakob is a starting center in the NBA or not. But the thing is like there's different tiers to being a starting player. So I don't necessarily understand the point of having that conversation. Do you think he's a starter for a contender? Do you think he's the starter for a playoff team? Do you think he's a starter, period? Obviously, he's a top 30 center in the league, so he's a starter. It's just about how good of a team can you have with him as your starter. But yeah, if you weren't sure about it before, the line of questioning that Jakob got hit with is very clear that we're a rebuilding team. They asked him about basically 100 different questions about what is your experience like as a vet on a team that's rebuilding. And he has a lot of experience with it, being in San Antonio, obviously. So he kind of talked about how you things you can do to just keep the morale up and keep the vibes good. Competing and playing is obviously as tough as you can and trying your best and stuff like that, but just acknowledging where your team is at. So yeah, that just about shows exactly where the franchise is at. Again, this has been a clear messaging from top to bottom, from the coach to the GM to some of the players, that rebuilding is definitely where we're at as a franchise. So if you think about some of the trades that could be made, or at least some of the things that could happen with these players, you look at a Jakob, that's a trade candidate for sure. You look at Chris Boucher, that's a contract that you got to do something with, because if you're rebuilding, what is the point of even having him? Like, you could cut him and eat the money, or you could trade him and maybe take on another worse contract and get some value back. But you got to do something with that contract because you're not going to play him. Bruce Brown, again, you got to do something. What is it going to be? So yeah, the main takeaway there is just how much of this is, or how much of the messaging from the organization is clear and concise and the same. The team really knows where it's at. The team is a rebuilding team. The team is in need of top level talent, and I think the goal of this year is probably going to be to develop talent and put yourself in a position where you can acquire an elite prospect, somebody that you can put beside Scottie, and then say, okay, you got Scottie and then another guy, and then you got a supporting cast of quickly RJ, IQ, Gradey, Wait, I said IQ and quickly, but quickly RJ, Gradey, Walter, all these players around them. So um, yeah, it won't be a great season for in terms of just watching the Raptors play basketball. But hopefully we get to see the players advance a little bit and look better as individuals. It'll help you see who is who. So it helps me kind of evaluate my goals for the year, and I have an idea of what I'm looking for, which is essentially um, like I want to have a feel for every player, what every player can be on a contender at the end of the year. I want to be able to look at every player and say, okay, in an 8-man playoff rotation on a contender, this is what your role is going to be. And if you can figure out what that is, then you can figure out exactly what you need. Now, I think for what it's worth, what you'll figure out is that obviously we don't have the main guy, but we have a lot of guys that could be like second, third, fourth options. So if you can somehow land that number one guy in the draft, then you can go from there. But if not, I think you have to stack your team so where you can aggregate. Basically, what we did with DeMar to trade for Kawhi was you trade a bunch of pieces to aggregate into one piece, which was Kawhi. You have to set your team up to where you have enough players in volume. You have 10, 11 players so that you can bunch together 3 or 4 to trade for one guy. So if we can't get that one guy in the draft this upcoming year, we have to hopefully just have it work out to where you have enough guys in volume to make a trade. Okay, Kelly Olynyk is here. Oh, they're gonna ask him about the Vince Carter camps, aren't they? Okay, asking him about training in Spain with the Raptors. Okay, so he's saying he wanted to get with the players in Spain right after the Olympics because he felt like last year there weren't opportunities to get connectivity and continuity because there's so many injuries and things that happened. He's like, man, we got healthy. We were all healthy and we played together for about 6 minutes before things fell apart. So it's good to see that the players feel compelled to get some rhythm together. Oh, we got a question from Mundo Deportivo. Kelly's talking about guys getting more comfortable in Darko's system a year into the system. Asking about his experience in Paris for the Olympics. I don't want to hear about this shit. The experience was shit, I'm sure. I mean, he's going to talk about it being great, but like from the outside, ending was horrible. Man, Olympics talk, that's pain. I don't want to hear about this. So, I was talking earlier about in the rebuild how there's some moves to be made, some trades to be made. So, like Bruce Brown, Pirtle, maybe something small with Boucher. But I actually think with Olynyk, even though he's one of the older players, I think you probably have to keep him. One, because his contract isn't of enough value to really do anything. But other than that, um, I think he's an important part of like you got a Canadian player for a reason. You got an older player for a reason. In the Ochai trade, I think they want Kelly to be around for a couple years as the designated vet. Him and Garrett Temple. Um, yeah, I think Kelly Olynyk stays for sure. They're asking him about what he learned from Darko. Talking about a lot of ball movement and body movement being a big part of Darko's system. What's up, Jared? Damn, you're not modded on this channel? Man, I gotta change that. Okay, they're talking about him being a vet on the roster. I wonder if something will come up that's kind of in line with what I was talking about earlier. Okay. There we go. It's fixed. Okay, leaning on the fact that he's experienced quite a few different things. See, I think that's probably also part of what they want. They want a vet that's seen quite a bit and been around quite a bit. Jakob's a vet, but to be honest, he's been around a lot of the same stuff. Oh, thank you because we'll need it, and we'll need it badly. Your Celtics are going to cook us every time we play. All right, we might get one win, but yeah, we're not going to be a serious team this year. Here's the Vince question. Asking about Vince setting the path for Canada basketball. Standard answer you're going to get here. I think he should just answer this question by saying, like, hey, just watch the Carter effect and then try to act like you don't understand why Vince was a big part of the reason basketball developed in this country. Yep. Kelly Olynyk said it perfectly. He made it cool to play basketball. Kelly's talking about all the kids wanting to emulate Vince Carter. That's real. I saw it myself. Damn, this is a really in-depth answer. He really has the whole. I talked about it earlier. He's probably one of the best people you could have to speak on. One, the importance of the Raptors franchise in Canada for basketball, and Vince Carter specifically, and his impact in that way. He's asking about the young players that picked his brain. He highlighted the big, so I'm assuming that's Carlson, Chomche, but he doesn't want to highlight names. Maybe Mogbo? My guy William. Okay, they're asking him about RJ. Long-standing personal relationship between RJ and Olynyk. Okay, he's saying RJ is playing defense at a higher level than he's ever seen. So we need that for sure. We definitely need that with our personnel. With IQ and Gradey being on the court, we need everybody else to be as good as they can defensively. Mm, 30th season question. Damn, it just set in for Kelly that he's older than the Raptors. That's tough. Poor guy. Damn. Guy said, when you're in Toronto, you don't dream of playing in the NBA. You dream of playing for the Raptors. Well, I hope what he's saying is true about Shea. Okay, last question for Kelly. How have you seen basketball in this country grow because of the Raptors? Oh, it's a remix question. It's a remix question. He literally said his answer started with, "It's the same thing I said before." Why? What a terrible question. Terrible question. I feel like that guy hasn't been listening to this whole press conference. He's talking about people wanting to play the sport more as opposed to baseball and hockey. Sums it up just about right. Yeah, Kelly Olynyk predictably gave the perspective of a person that's really from here who has a lot of experiences that are relevant to what the franchise is talking about this year. So they're talking a lot about Vince Carter and the 30th anniversary. So Olynyk can speak on literally living through the franchise developing. He talked about how if the Raptors are 30 years old and I can remember the beginning, it means I'm older than the Raptors. Yeah, that definitely applies to him. And again, he was there for Vince Carter. He talked about wanting to go play basketball and emulate what Carter was doing. So, perfect person to speak about those things. In terms of the basketball side of things, I think it was interesting to hear him speak about. They asked him about RJ because he has the personal relationship and they've been playing together for Canada basketball for a long time. And he also mentioned that he's known RJ since RJ was a kid. So he just talked about how his defense is better than it's ever been, and you hope that trajectory continues because we need the defenders around Gradey and IQ to be as good as possible. So that has to cap out. They asked him about young players reaching out to him and speaking to him. I think that was. I think it's interesting that he didn't want to specifically talk about names. I think that's probably a veteran move. He didn't want to make a point by not including somebody and not mentioning somebody. So he kind of just said that the young bigs reached out, but I don't want to specifically talk about names. What else came up? Oh yeah, he talked about at different points during today. You'll hear different people kind of touch on specific things that in terms of like the specific goals of Darko. So he talked about how obviously like the offensive scheme is really reliant on ball movement and player movement, and that's going to be a big part of whether they really succeed or not in terms of the players being in the system. So he didn't quite get asked about any of the defensive stuff the way other players did. I find that interesting that the reporters as a whole were like, you know what, Kelly Olynyk, not the right person to talk to defense about. They didn't even try it. So, that kind of says something in and of itself. But you can see why Kelly Olynyk is here as a vet for the rebuild. First of all, there's who he is as a player. And then there's the specifics of who he is as a Raptor and why he might be a valuable person to have in specifically this organization. So, that made itself pretty clear. There was something else I wanted to talk about. What was it? Oh yeah, he talked about how as a leader he's kind of uniquely positioned because he's experienced so many different things. He's been to an NBA Finals. He's been on good teams, bad teams. He's basically been on every kind of team. So there's a lot of perspective he has. There's a lot of things he can share with younger players. Yeah, he's going to be our bench big, but pretty soon, you would hope, if things go to plan, one of our younger centers takes his spot, or Jakob gets traded, and then maybe another spot opens up. But yeah, Kelly Olynyk probably not going to be a part of this organization for too long. Like the 2-year deal he signed is probably going to be it. But it seems like he's going to be somebody that has potential to stick around afterwards. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he gets into coaching, that he gets an opportunity here. I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to get into management, that he gets an opportunity here. I think he's the kind of person you want to keep around. And then the other thing he talked about was how being a person from Toronto, when you dream of being a professional basketball player, you don't dream of, oh, I hope I can one day be in the NBA. You dream specifically about being a Raptor. So I heard that, and I just couldn't help but think of Shea. I was like, man, I hope he feels the same way, because that's what we need. We need that in the worst way. So yeah, we are just over 3 hours into the stream. Last interview is Gradey, which should happen any minute now. It's scheduled for 12:45, but we're definitely ahead of schedule. So I imagine that it'll happen in the next 5 minutes or so. If you're still watching this, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Two very important forms of engagement for the growth of your YouTube channel. Yeah, that's what we're up to, people. What I was thinking of, I wanted to do a live stream later today, generally talking about the takeaways from Media Day, but I think it might be too early for that. Or there might not be enough to talk about. To be honest, yeah, I think there's the same 2-3 things to talk about. So I might if I do a Media Day recap stream, it'll be at 7:30 tonight. And if I don't do it, then there'll be a stream probably tomorrow or the day after at some point. But yeah, the topics to talk about is kind of a roster breakdown, salary cap breakdown, just kind of charting the course for the next 3-4 years for this team financially, and the decisions that might force the team to make. So there's that. And then I wanted to do a stream about the WNBA expansion franchise in Toronto. So yeah, that'll probably happen this week as well. And then we have the first preseason game on Sunday. It's at 7:30, so I'm going to do a live stream for the first half. For those of you guys who don't know, I also do NFL content. There's a channel that's linked to this channel. It's called In Motion Football. I'll be doing a Sunday Night Football live stream at around 8:20 that day. So for about 50 minutes for the first little bit of the game, we're going to watch the Raptors game. And yeah, that's the upcoming streaming schedule at this platform. If you guys don't want to miss out on things, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I think I still have the schedule pulled up here. I was looking at the Raptors regular season schedule and just kind of picking out the nights. So the 23rd against Cleveland is what day? 23rd against Cleveland is a Wednesday. That's 7:30. Ooh, that's gonna be interesting. I should be able to make that, but maybe not. It's the first game of the year, though. It's important. 25th is gonna be a Friday. Okay, I'll try my best to do some of the early games, because those might be our best games. Because things might go left pretty quickly. Again, if you've heard a lot of these press conferences, a lot of talk about rebuilding, a lot of talk kind of downplaying winning. Okay, so we finally have Gradey. All right. Asking him the differences between being a rookie and a second-year player. Come on, man. You want to hear him talk about the same 50 million things every athlete's ever talked about in this situation? They're talking about him changing teams a lot. And now he's finally in a long-term project. Damn, Gradey's talking about helping Jakobi out. As like 1 year older. Okay, Samson finally probably gonna get a basketball question. Okay. Samson's asking why are you better at harder shots than easier shots? Yeah, he seems like that question caught him off guard. Like he wasn't even thinking about it that way. How happy are you to not be doing rookie duties anymore? What a question. Rookie duties were playing cards on the plane. That's not that big of a duty. That's light. Just keep a deck of cards in your bag. Yeah, they're asking him about the messy hair. Damn, Darko is really hilarious if he's always asking Gradey if he needs a haircut. Again, gives off so much Ted Lasso energy. Okay, they're asking him about the starting job. Well, he's not talking about like, man, I want the starting job. Well, Gradey with the most we just want to win answer ever. Or like at all today. Gradey said, man, I don't care if I start or not. I just want to win. Buddy, not a lot of the winning will happen this year, I don't think. If you've been hearing the way the rest of your organization is talking. Two more questions. Almost at the end. Well, they said Grady's locking in on nutrition. So that's good. IQ talked about being in better shape. Gradey talked about focusing on nutrition. Hopefully, that's something we can see. Said not trying to overthink defensively. So it looks like he's focused on defense as well. When I'm having fun, I'm playing better. See him and Scottie go together. All right. So that's the end of media day. Quick thoughts on Gradey. Didn't say a whole lot. Talked about focusing on nutrition. Kind of lines up with IQ talking about focusing on fitness. Talked about uh, just the ease of not being a rookie anymore. Pretty simple stuff. Kind of downplayed wanting to be a starter. Found that kind of interesting. Um, yeah, kind of a pretty uneventful interview. They didn't ask him a whole lot of like win or content, a win or rebuild type of stuff. They didn't ask him a whole lot of leadership stuff. It was nice to not have to hear any of those like kind of empty answers. But for him specifically, I think he will end up starting. Not surprised to hear him downplay it, but you know that that's probably something he has his eye on. He's probably going to get a lot of minutes. He talked about maybe being able to help Jakobi, so it definitely sucks that Jakobi isn't healthy. We saw him and Gradey at an Argos game together, I think the other night. Jakobi had a sling on. But yeah, that's that for the interviews. We're 3 hours and 16 minutes into this live stream. I'm going to definitely call it quits here. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Those are two very important forms of engagement for the growth of a YouTube channel. Yeah, we'll be back either tonight or tomorrow night at some point for another live stream. If you don't want to miss out, make sure you subscribe to the channel and you'll never miss out. So that's what it is, people. We're going to tap out. It's been fun. Hope you guys had as much fun as I had bringing it to you guys, and I'll see you guys later.